Hello, everybody. I hope that you're all well today. I know I haven't done a live stream in quite a long time. Um, I'm going to be talking about the real reason why I got into 3D printing on this live stream. So I hope you enjoy it and it gives you an insight on I hope it gives you an insight into stuff and you insight into stuff and you like what you see. If you do, please like and subscribe. So, without further ado, the reason why I got into 3D printing, well, the real reason was, first of all, I started the RC car hobby um, about two, about 5 years ago. I got into the hobby, the RC cars, and they weren't like your ordinary RC cars. They were like touring car RC cars, and um, they you did races, you did championships and all things like that. You had to have a license. It was very there was quite a few rules and stuff like that. So basically, um, that's what I was doing. Um, and that was a very, very expensive hobby, doing that. Because basically what would happen is I would buy the car, build the car, put the motor and stuff in it, and then after that, take it down to the racetrack, race it round, smash it into the wall a couple of times, break the car, and it was not very good, but so you'd buy more pieces and to try and you buy more pieces and pieces like that. I mean, it was that bad that in 1 year I was I was I spent over £1,000 on parts for it, you know, in 1 year, because I was just smashing the car up, breaking it. People were helping set the car up again and stuff like that. So I decided that I'd seen 3D printers online, and I got my first 3D printer. And the aim of getting the first 3D printer was to print car parts, to print the car parts so that I could, print the car part, print the part, put it on the car, race it around the weekend, and hopefully that way it was to save money, which is, was the idea. And for me, 3D printing then has been such a good hobby ever since, that I've carried on and carried on. And half of the stuff that, I've learnt, half the stuff I've learnt, is all self-taught. I watched a YouTuber called Joel the 3D Printing Nerd. I watched his I watched a I watched a review of his sorry I watched a review of his on the CR10S, I think it was, and then thought, that looks like a really good printer. I'll get one of them. And that's what I first started with, the CR10S. And that was very, very reliable, very good. And then I just learnt from there how to, taught myself how to do it and stuff. So I've gone from a CR10S to, then I had the CR10S V2, and then I had the CR10S V3, and then I had, after that, then I had a CR10S, a CR10 Max. So that was a great big printer, which was 470 by 470 build volume. And then after that, then I went from there to a K1, as you can see behind me. Bought the K1, absolutely phenomenal printer. For me, it takes out most of the guesswork and stuff, and it also makes it easier because of the lightness and everything else. Because I don't know if I've ever mentioned that the reason why I've got into the 3D printing and all the hobbies and stuff is because I've got a disability. I'm disabled. I've got my disability is cerebral palsy. So I need to keep myself busy during the day and doing little bits around the house. So it's a brilliant kind of hobby for me to do, and it keeps my brain active and stuff like that, and I learn things along the way. So it's a very, very good thing to be doing. So I quite, as I say, I really enjoy it, and I like making things and finding things online that I can print off. I've done quite a few prints over the years. So some of my main prints have been things like, my latest project was an RC boat, an 82 centimetre RC boat, which I've done, which is really good because it still keeps in with the hobby of the car racing and RC. So, now I'm going to get into making the boats, printing the boats, and then putting all the electronics inside, and then hopefully seeing whether I can go for like a world record, which will be the fastest RC boat, not fastest RC boat, sorry, the first 3D printed RC boat world record. Hopefully that's what I'd like to do. So at the moment, that my aim is to really get a 3D printed RC boat to go over 100 mile an hour, which, judging from my racing days and stuff like that, the racing the cars, that's quite it's not unrealistic to get something to go that fast. The technology now is out there with the motors and speed controllers and stuff like that, and with the printers, now getting better. You can make things now that are more robust. So if it does decide to break apart in the middle of the ocean, in the middle of the lake or whatever when I'm racing around with it. Um, that's how it's going to be, But hopefully, and from all my testing now, it hasn't been like that. So it's been really good. Yes, yes, I'd say that I am self-taught from YouTube videos on most of the 3D printing stuff that I have done. Um, I am self-taught, and never never hurts to learn more and more. And I've just started my YouTube because uh, I want to help other people. Help other people and stuff like that. So if I can learn 3D printing off YouTube videos and look at stuff and try stuff out, then everyone else can, which is very good. So yeah, because they are going to get so much easier to use in time, and they'll become more and more uh, usual in people's houses, if you like. So, you know, that's a good feature of 3D printing and stuff, because also you can take your idea from, say, a drawing or like a CAD program to a drawing like a 3D printed object, and start to finish that process is actually really quite clever, because as it starts, you have your printer, you have your filament, and you have an idea, and basically your idea comes to life, and that is a uh, fascinating thing to watch and to see, you know, of it coming to life. And anyone that's looking into getting into the 3D printing hobby, then I can't recommend it enough. It's really, really quite good. So hopefully this helps people get into the hobby, and I hope people enjoy it. Um, so yeah, but yeah, my aim is to go, as I said before, is to make the first 3D printed, go for the world record for the fastest 3D printed RC boat, um, from my background of things, and also that also means tweaking things, tuning things, tuning print setups and stuff like that. So there's a lot involved. It's not just happy-go-lucky, if you like, um, because it's not always that easy. Um, but if anyone in here has any questions on anything else, please feel free to write down in the chat here and ask a question or whatever you'd like to know. I'm more than happy to answer. my hobby of other things like RC boats. Um, no, no, I've always been interested in RC boats and cars and things like that, even before I got a 3D printer. Um, but it's great that I can combine 3D printing and the RC part of the hobby together, um, in this way, like printing an RC boat. Um, you know, that's the best thing about it. And also, like when you buy, if you go and buy an RC boat, like an adult size RC boat, they're quite expensive, to buy, straight out the shops. So in building my own and printing my own, I saved I saved money, because only my boat only took um, two rolls of filament, to print the whole boat, plus everything, like the whole pieces. It was three pieces in all to make the whole of the boat, and then it was one more print to make the rear of, like, the transom, which is the rear of your boat, which is the bits of all your metal stuff and the propeller and trim tabs and stuff like that. How that all screws onto the back. So I bought all the metal hardware, but it still worked out cheaper to buy all the hardware and the motor and the batteries and everything else, rather than buying one. Um, yes, my K1 Max is printing in the background. Um, what am I printing? I'm printing the lid for the boat that you can see over here this side, in the corner. I'm printing the lid for it. That's two pieces. That's a two-piece print. So the on now is the first piece of that. So hopefully that's only got just under 20 minutes to go. So yeah, that'll be done. That'll be done very soon. Yeah, and also, I have just purchased another printer. Um, because you can never have too many. Um, yeah, because I've always wanted to go and try different printing different things, making this and making that, and I like the fact that I can go onto a website, many websites and stuff, and download files of anything I fancy. Um, you know, so that's kind of the reason why, and it just gives me something fun and interesting to do. I have now purchased, as I said just a minute ago, another printer, and the other printer is the Creality K2 Plus. So the Creality K2 Plus is the only difference is it's a bit larger. The build volume's larger. So rather than being a 300 by 300 like the K1 Max is, the K2 is a 350 by 350 build volume. Still a Core XY machine, but the only difference is the K2 has a color changer. So it has a box on the top. It's called a CFS from Creality, which allows you to do multicolored printing, and also not just multicolored printing, but multi-material printing. And it's got a few bits here and there that have changed, but also what is coming, and that's not been released yet, like not been, you may be able to get one in some other places, but there is also a kit that's coming for the K1 Maxes to fit a color changer to K1 Max. But the reason why I didn't go for the color changer kit is because it's too much for me personally to modify the machine, and too difficult to do on myself, like, because obviously it's difficult to stand up for me with my disability and stuff. It's difficult to stand over the machine with stand over the machine with your tools and stuff like that. So I'd rather go and buy a machine with it all done, so that basically all I've got to do is go through a setup procedure and have everything all done, ready to go. So it's just get it out of the box, put it together kind of, and then be able to let it calibrate itself, and then let it do automatic updates and stuff like that, so that then I can just hit print and go, because that is what it's all about now, is to make it so simple, well, simple in a way that you can just send a print to your printer from your slicing software, and it sends it to the printer, and then off it goes. Rather than the old-fashioned way when I started, was to save it to a memory card and then take it from the computer to your printer, load it on, clean the bed. Like if you was running glass, you always had to clean it. At least with the K1 Maxes and the K2s, all stuff with an enclosure, it comes on a magnetic mat. So basically, like, you just put a bit of glue on the bed, and you press print. The print goes to the machine, and it does it, most of it itself. Which is basically what you kind of want. So yeah, that was basically one of the real reasons why I got the K1 Max, and and I've ordered the colour changer, the other printer with the colour changer on it, is because it's ease of use, you know. No other reason. Yes, I would like to, in the future, I would also like to buy myself a, a 3D printing, a 3D scanner, so that then I'll be able to scan an object and then put it into a program and then print it out, um, and stuff like that. But I have tried several different things, like printing different materials. Um, as you can see, the printer is on in the background. My whole the boat here that you can see in the background as well, just standing up. That is made out of. It's not made out of PLA. That's made out of a material called PTEG, which is PTEG is a lot more robust of a material than PLA. Um, so therefore, it's and the benefits over that over PTEG rather than PLA is PTEG is waterproof. PTEG doesn't have, like PLA in direct sunlight. PLA will fade and um, get more and more um, brittle, and it will PLA will eventually discolor and also like break down. As where PTEG has something in the way that the filament is made, so that the heat doesn't get to it, and the heat doesn't get to it like from sun. So it's UV resistant. It's also waterproof, so it's ideal for boats and things like that. As long as long as you also you if you're making a boat like what I've done in parts, you have also got to seal it, which means putting a clear coat or a varnish over the whole lot. But it's just for that extra. The reason why you do it out of PTEG rather than PLA is because then you've got that extra peace of mind that it's supposed to be waterproof. But you know, you can't say 100% that it is, but it's supposed to be. And you know, it's a sign of a good printer if if you've got your printer dialed in very well to be able to print a boat, because water, no matter what happens, if there's gaps in the filament or whatever, it will leak, you know. So yeah, I've tried various materials and stuff, and you know, I'd now like to get into using a 3D scanner, so that I can also scan objects as well and print them off. So that's really interesting and a good thing to be doing. Any other questions? I'm just waiting to see if anyone responds with any questions they'd like to ask. If I was starting now, would I buy a K1, a K series printer? Yes. Yes, I would. Um, uh, a K1 series printer is expensive, um, but they are fairly reliable, and they do a majority of the hard work for you, like bed leveling, um, updates, like to update the firmware and stuff. It comes on through the internet and stuff like that. So it's a lot easier to set up, and it's got a quite a good user interface as well, and it is very fun. A K1 printer can print remarkably faster than one of the old style printers, which is what you call like a, because a K1 machine is called a Core X1 machine, and something like a CR10S, what I started with, is called a Cartesian. I think it's a Cartesian machine, so it means that the bed goes backwards and forwards rather than um, up and down. So yes, for quickness, easiness, and stuff like that, I would recommend anyone getting into the hobby now to have either a K series printer or a Core X1 machine at least, because it's so much quicker and easier to set up if you're new to the hobby, because majority of it is done for you rather than you having to sit there and manually level the bed, even though that is a very good thing to learn, to manually level the bed. And a few people will say that it's a good skill to learn and to have. The old bit of paper, old bit of A4 paper underneath the nozzle. And what you would do on the old style printers is they would have a wheel underneath the bed, and you would adjust the wheel so that the nozzle is low enough, just touching the paper, a little bit of dragging, and then that's how you would do it. But you'd have to do that in all four corners, and you'd have to do that 2 or 3 times before you get a true level. It's called I think it's called keeping it trammed or something, in with the head, which is difficult because you've only got to knock it once. you'd only have to knock the little thing once, and then it would be no good, because it would come out of level. But with a Core X1 machine, because it does itself and does it every single print and stuff like that, and it's contained, the only way that you're going to make that come out of level is by moving it. If you have to move the print while it's printing, move the actual printer while it's printing, will the only way that'll come out of level. And then even if you did that, all you would have to do then is run a bed calibration test. Do I struggle with unboxing printers? There always has to be someone around to help with the unboxing of a printer. Just in case. I'd like to think that I can do it, but I always like someone to be around just in case, you know, it requires two people or whatever, you know, to lift the printer onto the desk or whatever. And also to help with reading instructions. It's always better to have someone else around, but I mainly, you know, I can unbox them sometimes myself if they're small enough, and assemble them. But I have to sometimes. Sometimes, for instance, when I got my first 3D printer, I assembled it by laying on the floor. I laid down on the floor and put it together so that it wasn't too high, the things wasn't too difficult to turn around and stuff like that. But the big printers that I've had in the past, yeah, just by the sheer weight of them, someone has to be here to give me a hand. You know, because it's okay with like the K1 Max, because that just came straight out the box, mostly pre-assembled, you know, come out of a bag, mostly pre-assembled. The only thing you had to do with that one was mount the screen on the front of it and put the glass on the top, and obviously it was all like done in plastic wrapping and everything, so hopefully it wasn't damaged. But the ones that aren't assembled, yeah, I do have ways of being able to do it. You know, that's one of the reasons why I did have two. I did have two CR10 Maxes, and they were big. They were 450 by 450 was the actual size by manufacturer, but the actual bed size was 470. So that was big, and they were very heavy, and they had to be. They came out the box in two pieces, so you had to lift one bit of it up, then you had to screw the upright onto it and everything, which was difficult because of the sheer size and the weight of it. And also, once they were together and they needed to be moved, um, it ended up being a two-person job to move them because of the weight. So that's why I only have little ones now. But saying that, the new K2 printer that I've just ordered, that the gross weight of that is £99. So that is going to be very, very heavy to lift. So there'll be two of us um, to lift that into place. But as I say, most of that is set up already. I don't have to do much. I just have to fit the screen and then fit the CFS on the top. So there's not much to do apart from that. Yeah. Is there any other questions people would like to ask? I don't think so. So, is that everything covered in this stream? Yeah, I think so. Um, so, it's been lovely having you all. Um, and please like and subscribe. And I'll see you again in the next one. And always remember, keep printing.